As you probably could guess, I wasn't feeling the best yesterday, and I'm not feeling that much better today, so you're going to get me via video today. Yay! Today's cartoon made me laugh because, of course, it's an illusion. Buenos dias, senor. Peter Pan and Taco Bell rather than Tinker Bell. So I'm sure that you've done your reading already and also maybe talked about our bell ringer, about hitchhiking. That's kind of a duh thing. So what we're going to do today is we're going to kind of finish up, whoops, hitting the wrong buttons here. We're going to finish up our discussion of Edgar Allan Poe and The Raven. Tomorrow you're going to have a quiz, and we're going to get started on the next play that we're going to read called The Hitchhiker. So could you please take out your coloring pages? Now, I am not sure what your coloring pages look like, but they should be fairly basic. I did the best that I could with my online coloring, and as you can tell, I am not very good. But yours should look something like this. The Nevermore should be purple, but it's more about the terms that are below it. So if you could look at the terms at the bottom, let's see that we can go through them. An alliteration is when you repeat words at the beginning of a sentence, like a tongue twister. She sells seashells by the seashore, or Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. At this time, so he has several incidences in the story where he's repeating a phrase and that all start with the same letter. So if you will hit pause at this time, go into your poem, and I want you to find 3 different examples of alliteration inside your poem. All right. So I'm sure you found like grim and ghastly and a couple that's dreamed a dream and even the ones that were inside your poem. Okay. The other 2 you don't need to look for because I actually give you examples. But assonance is a repetition of a vowel sound. Like in The Raven, it's that O sound. I mean, seriously, how many words could he find that rhymed with nevermore? Lenore and door and before and all of that is for sound. And consonance is the repetition of a consonant at the end of the sound, like what he did with ings. When a poet ends words with lots of D's and T's and those kinds of things, it's because, like the tongue twister, Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, the P is repeated, but also the K sound, the K sound in the middle of it. Okay? Hyperbole is that extreme exaggeration. For example, in the poem, he says he dared to dream a dream no one else had ever done. Well, how does he know that he's the only one that had this dream? Okay, so it would be kind of like, oh, I could just die if this happened, or I waited like a million years, but it was like 5 minutes. We are a species of hyperbole. Onomatopoeia is the words like nevermore. We expect the bird to say chirp or tweet, but he's made the sound nevermore a word. And remember, onomatopoeia is when a word sounds like the sound. Okay? We know about human qualities. Ravens can't quoth, and they can't, have human emotions. We know that he really liked repetition. We even studied that in when we looked at the first paragraph of The Telltale Heart, that he repeated words, and it's not because he couldn't think of other ones. Obviously, Poe was quite good at manipulating language. It's because he was intentional about using those words. And finally, an allusion, a reference to something that the author assumes we know, like we're supposed to know the information about the raven being a messenger, Pallas being Athena, and Aiden being Eden. Okay? You will notice that some of these words are highlighted, and that's because those are the words I expect you to know for your test tomorrow, your quiz tomorrow. All right? All right, so at this time, what I would like you to do is to take out your vocabulary, and we're going to take a look at that expand your vocabulary. Sorry about the long pause there. I went to take my dog out, so I thought I hit paused and I didn't. So sorry about that. So looking at your expand your vocabulary here, what words would you assign to that? Now hit pause. Did you come up with these? A lattice is more about the the symmetry of it, the crisscross pattern, because he talks about having a lattice curtains. A discourse is a word that we've had before. That's a conversation. Um, Placid, also a word that we've had before. That is the calmness. Dirges, we talked about the funeral marches. And obedience is respect. All right, that's awesome. So right now the substitute is going to hand out a worksheet that is going to have you work on things related to drama. You're going to turn in your books to page 614 to 615, and you're going to notice that you have some headings with some lines below it. So the elements of drama like acts and scenes. And what I want you to do is read through page 614 and 615 and write down 2 facts under each one. And what I want you to do is to choose what you think is the most important facts, because tomorrow when we go through that, we're going to see if we are getting better about pulling out what is important and ignoring what is not. On the other side, same thing. I want you to go to those pages in 700 and something and read and complete. Tomorrow you will have a quiz over the Raven. That quiz will be covering things that we studied when we studied him, about Edgar Allan Poe, about what happened in the poem itself, uh, things like what were the characters, the setting, the time. We talked about the rhyme scheme, internal rhyme, imagery, and then again, what happened in the poem, and finally, none of the vocabulary, and then finally some of these terms that we worked on with the coloring. All right. I hope everybody has a good day, and we will see you, hopefully, fingers crossed, tomorrow.